Update: would I be the asshole for reporting a nurse for breaking HIPAA? Link to original. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I really did not expect it to gain that much traction, but I am very grateful for the advice. I will break this post up into two parts: my diagnosis and the decision I made on reporting her. Diagnosis. So, as many as you guessed, I had an ovarian cyst. 2 grapefruit-sized ovarian cysts, in fact. My real doctor ordered same-day blood work, stool, urine test, and a CT scan with contrast. That night, he called me and told me I had the cysts and had to get surgery ASAP. The next week, I had laparoscopic surgery to remove the cysts. It was supposed to be a very quick surgery with only 3 incisions, but my surgeon discovered the cysts had ruptured and caused internal bleeding, and the surgery ended up being hours long and I ended up with 8 incisions. After I woke up, she said that had I not gotten surgery, I would have either lost a huge amount of blood or lost my ovaries. They started to torsion. I also got anemia from the blood I lost. Recovery was tough and painful, but I have zero pain now and am on birth control to hopefully never experience it again. Decision. I reported her. I was torn on whether I should report her to just the practice or to the actual organizations, but I decided to give the practice a chance and only report her to them first. I wrote a 4-page letter detailing both phone calls and my eventual diagnosis and sent it to the office manager of the practice. I told them that because I was a long-time patient, I would give them the chance to resolve it internally, but if the results weren't satisfactory, I wouldn't hesitate to report her to the appropriate authorities. They emailed me back immediately, and said they would forward it to the doctors of the practice. Well, I finally got a letter back today. They said that they took my concerns very seriously and that they are taking further action. They also said they reported the incident themselves. Even if the resolution wasn't as exciting as many of you had hoped for, I am very glad this is all over. It was a very difficult summer dealing with not only the surgery, the nurse, but also other personal tragedies. I am currently starting my freshman year of college and I am so glad I don't have to deal with this anymore. Thank you again to everyone who offered advice or well wishes. It really made me feel validated in my decision to report her. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards, but please don't spend real money on this post. On another note, I read a lot of comments telling me to follow up and maybe report her myself. Since the letter is already written, I think I will additionally report her to the appropriate agencies. I wish that you all could have read my letter. I left a lot out of the original post because of the character limit, but that was about 50% of what I reported her for. Sometimes I reread what I wrote and am still shocked that it happened.
Please double-check that this has been reported to the appropriate authorities. There are too many practices that will cover their rears rather than do the right thing. I'm getting old and cynical though. But this nurse was so far out of line with her behavior that she should probably never work as a nurse again. Take care and I'm so glad you're doing so much better. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards.
TWI grapefruit-sized ovarian cysts? OMG, I hope you're taken care of and have the correct personal and medical support system. All the love to you.
That sounds like a good result so far. I'm so glad you got real medical help and that you're going to be okay.
I'm a registered nurse and really want you to report her to the nursing board. I have a feeling they will discipline her internally or fire her, which will just allow her to go on to another practice and mistreat more patients. Just Google your state and nursing board, and look up how to file a complaint.
Holy cow. Glad you're okay. That nurse could have cost you so much.
I am assuming that first nurse you saw was a nurse practitioner? Good for you for reporting her. Please follow up and ensure that the appropriate professional colleges were contacted. Your case is another example of patient mismanagement by nurse practitioners. Physicians have 14x more clinical hours than NPs and take 13 standardized exams versus 2 exams by NPs. Yet NPs continue to push for independent practice. Blows my mind. Please, everyone, ask for a doctor.
Can you not sue? Wouldn't the circumstances and outcomes be different if she did her job correctly?
Proud of you. You did the right thing.
I am significant other glad you are okay. I have had the exact same surgery and condition. Ruptured ovarian cysts that leaked blood in my abdomen. Your recovery may take a few weeks, but I'm very glad it went well. Please consider getting a great obgyn with PCOS experience to run some labs and consider some options so it doesn't happen again. I've had it several times. Also super proud of you for standing up for yourself and reporting what happened.
Wow, I completely forgot about this post. Glad you're feeling better now. It must have been awful. It's great that she is facing justice. What she did was wholly inappropriate, and you can only hope she hasn't acted that way with others.
Good for you, Op. I'm so glad you're feeling better, and I hope with all my heart that you never have to go through something like this again.
Good on you for reporting. The fact that she did it to you means she will do it to anyone, and will eventually do it in a situation that really matters. Like telling an abusive spouse that his wife has bacterial vaginosis and the spouse thinks it's an STD. Or telling a parent the results of a pregnancy test for someone who is over 18. This woman has no business handling private medical info. Thank you for reporting. It makes all of us safer.
I would personally sue honestly. Breaking HIPAA is a huge deal. Not the entire clinic, but maybe directly the nurse. I read this when you posted it and I am so happy you updated. I am glad you hot diagnosed and helped, and I am glad you reported her. Best wishes.
You should consider reporting her to the State Board of Nursing, if you are in the US. This is very serious.
I just read the original post. I'm a CNA. What this nurse did is insane, and she should 100% lose her license. Just absolutely nuts. Don't feel guilty about this one. I work side by side with these people. There are a lot of great nurses that get to keep their job and love what they do. And there are a lot of shitty ones. This one was probably trying to vent their own problems onto someone else. Hospitals jump on top of that shit quick and will fire people if they are a risk for causing potential lawsuits. Plenty of others to fill their spot.
1,000 gold stars to you for your incredibly mature handling of this shitty situation and also the medical difficulties you've gone through. When I was 18, I would probably have been unable to properly advocate for myself as to either. You're definitely not the young person that this dumbass nurse claimed you were. Glad you're feeling better.
As hospitals look to cut costs by hiring nurses instead of doctors, you can expect things like this to happen more often. Glad you are okay, and here's hoping that the nurse gets sued and loses her license. I'm so thankful that you have recovered from your surgery. My heart goes out to you. What a lot to deal with at such a young age. I had the same surgery but on a much smaller and non-complication scale. The pain before surgery was awful. I'm also sorry that you have had non-related tragedies to bear as well. Wishing you much success in college and hoping you don't have any more health issues. They said that they took my concerns very seriously and that they are taking further action. They also said they reported the incident themselves. I would double-check and report it yourself because all you have is their word. Glad you reported her. She does not deserve to treat anybody. I'd be devastated if that happened to me. You are one tough cookie. I had a similar experience in March and April, ovarian torsion twice in 2 months, emergency surgery twice, and finally the removal of the cyst in April. The worst pain I have ever felt, so I feel you. Hope you are healing well, and taking care of you. What do you mean, you're sorry this isn't exciting? You did the right thing. It's the kind of small victory that is both believable and honest. Happy ending. My daughter had an ovary operated when she was younger than you. I'm glad she was handled professionally and with courtesy. If she hadn't been, I would have encouraged appropriate action.
Retired RN here. Please don't allow them to deal with it. Things can and do get swept under the carpet. Report it directly to the state board. Sorry, I'm English and we have a different system. The RN in question is so wrong here that she needs stopping ASAP.
I hope that you made certain you never signed anything allowing them to speak with your mother. If you did, even if you don't know it, there's no breach.
Just read that story. I work in the industry. Please report her yourself. We need these bad practitioners gone before they hurt or kill others.
It's one thing if something somehow accidentally slips in front of a family member, but this is a whole new level. Even her calling your mom is questionable, even without everything else, as that discloses that you're a patient at that practice.
If you are in the US, Check with your state's Office of Inspector General or, insert state, medical board action list. I work in an industry that regulates this information, and most employers do not end up actually reporting this information, which leads to careers of systemic abuse. Stay safe.
Not the asshole. Since Hay said they reported it, it wouldn't hurt for you to now report it yourself, just in case.
How are you after the surgery? I know this is beside the point of the nurse overstepping her boundaries and breaking HIPAA, but how are you recovering after this surgery? What was the surgery like? Hopefully you're doing better. Try to stay safe and healthy.
I'm so sorry that was your experience with that nurse. I'm a healthcare provider and they do teach us in school to be compassionate and practice patient-centered care, which means we should always put your needs and goals first. Some people are just assholes and get into medicine for the wrong reasons, and aren't compassionate or caring. Your provider should always be your number one advocate, less than 3. Also, how could she blame you for not recognizing her after a whole ass year? That's some self-centered bullshit.
That shit is no joke. I lost my ovary and fallopian tube to torsion because the doctors didn't listen to me when I said I couldn't function from the pain. Cyst size of a grapefruit, ovary size of a grapefruit, torsion of my ovary and fallopian tube, infection all over my insides from previous cysts bursting, which caused me to have a ureteral catheter when I woke up from surgery. I had a history of problems diagnosed and they still didn't take me seriously. I feel for you, and I'm glad you're out of the woods. That shit is awful to go through. I'm glad you reported that lady. There are a few doctors and nurses that I should have reported along the way and regretted not doing so. Take care. I hope she gets the can. This is beyond illegal and unethical.
Definitely double check that they actually did something.
I am so glad you reported her. Follow up with the Board of Nursing as well. This is the exact kind of RN we are training not to be. I'm glad you are on the mend now.
Proud of you for standing up for your rights, even when it was hard. That is not easy to do at any age, and speaks to your maturity, resilience, and courage.
I am a retired registered nurse. You can also report her to your state's nursing licensing board, and I recommend you do that. Her behavior was unacceptable and she could lose her license to practice.
I had a walnut-sized ovarian cyst once and remember that pain, so I can't even imagine one the size of a grapefruit, let alone multiple. Glad everything turned out okay. Did the doctors say anything about endometriosis? If you have any issues in the future, I would highly suggest you ask about this because ovarian cysts are very common with this disease. Glad you had surgery and are healing well. Good luck, op.
I am so proud of you for this. It can be really hard knowing when to speak up, especially as a woman, and this could definitely help someone else in the future. I hope you recover well, and I wish you the very best.
Girl, glad you managed to save your ovaries. I lost one of mine due to the torsion, but strangely I had no pain leading up to it. Once it burst, then I felt the pain and I ended up getting emergency surgery just hours later to remove it.
Great to see people following up on their posts. I'm really glad you are okay. Wish you the best.
You are so wise to stand up for yourself and also your rights and body autonomy. With that nurse's unethical behavior, you absolutely were at risk.
That nurse will be fired. Mark my words.
Sorry you went through all that, op. I would file anyway with the board or other authorities. My sister is a doctor, the practice managers are awful and she has had to fight them to do the right thing and not try to protect bad behavior she has seen from colleagues. That nurse was so far out of line, it's worth making sure the complaint is dealt with properly.
I'm so glad that you've come out of this safely and that you listened to your own judgment and went to your new doctor. Thank goodness you caught this when you did. I wish you a continued recovery and comfort for your losses. So sorry you had to deal with this amidst other pain and sorrow. Less than 3.
I am glad that you're diagnosed and better. Since she did actually violate HIPAA, the office is obligated to report it as well. But I would double check as well.
So glad you reported her, and sounds like you got to keep both your girls. Live your best life. Ovarian cysts suck, and hopefully you're more in tune with your body now and will be able to detect those abdominal pains as problematic if they persist. And #X2OOB. Source, fellow O-cyst survivor. They suck.
Just double report that Dr. Woman shrugging if they did and you do also. It's double. Even apart from the HIPAA violation, she should not have made you feel that way. She had a total disregard for your serious symptoms, and her attitude was all wrong for someone who should be sympathetic and wanting to help you. Healthcare workers with that kind of attitude cost people their lives sometimes. It's scary that she thought those things, and I wonder what she told doctors behind people's backs.